everybody, and welcome to the show. Glad to be back home. Glad to be back in the home office, and glad to be going today. Lots to talk about after a really productive week last week, fighting for all sorts of big stuff. I got to tell you guys, there's so much news this week. We've got a lot to talk about. We're going to start out. Hey, shutdown's ending. And guess who didn't win? The Dems. The Dems did not win in any way, shape, or form on this. It looks like they lost big, and we'll see how big in the coming days, but it's looking promising right now, folks. It really is. So we'll see what happens with that. We're going to touch on that. But behind the shutdown is the question of fighting. Do we fight or do we not fight? How do we fight? Where do we fight? What do we fight over? That's a pretty important thing. Right now, you see a lot of fighting, a lot of infighting, particularly over Israel. I mean, Israel, for God's sakes, we spend so much time bickering over Israel, and I don't understand it, right? Because, I mean, it's important. They're a great ally. We love Israel, but they're corrupt just like every other nation in the world. And we're spending so much time fussing over Israel. Well, how about focusing on America? How about America first, right? I'm not saying we don't fund them. I'm not saying we don't support them. I'm also not saying that we don't look at them and recognize the corruption. But I'm saying, why is this the only topic? And why is there so much infighting on the conservative side over this? It's a really important question. There's some good stuff out there. And I think we've got to look at it, right? I think there's a lot to be seen and a lot to be said about this. And we really just need to dig into this. So we're going to do that. I think we gotta hit some the pipe bomber, right? The J6 pipe bomber. Now, J6, of course, we were told was an insurrection by Trump supporters. The reality is that it's come out more and more, and we've been proven right on this over and over again. I had a viral video right before the election showing that the Democrats were actually behind J6. It was a Democrat insurrection against the Republican president. And it was really one of the most corrupt things. It will end up going down as being far more corrupt than the Russia collusion hoax, which is the only thing we're working about. I don't understand. Pam Bondi won't put any Democrats in jail, but she's fine going after people that were relevant 10 years ago. So anyways, lots to talk about, lots to be seen, and lots to do here today. Of course, before we do, Grifter's got a grift. And so I need your help. I need your support. Please back us and support us. GiveSendGo.com/Renslaw. GiveSendGo.com/Renslaw. Listen, we are fighting hard. We're fighting all over the country, doing everything we can. But, most people can't fund our work. We do a lot of work for free, and we do it that way on purpose. Yeah, we do it because it's the right thing to do. We do it because we believe in freedom. We believe in our country. If you want to support us, go to GiveSendGo.com/Renslaw. Also go to TomRens.com, www.TomRens.com. Support us, support our sponsors. Men's hormone support from Global Healing, wonderful product. I use this every day. You need to use a lot of that. It is a great product. I want you to support that. Also, today, I want to remind you guys about one of our other sponsors. And these guys are amazing. These are a new sponsor. This is Farm Easy Bank, EasyRx. Wonderful, wonderful group. And this is really exciting health news you don't want to miss. So our partners at Farm Easy Bank, they're leading the way in affordable, trustworthy healthcare, they get an impressive lineup of generic medications, great prices. You can't beat their prices. Wonderful stuff. It doesn't matter whether you're managing a chronic condition, boosting your immune system, or just staying ahead of the curve. You want Farm Easy Bank. They got you covered on everything. They're offering ivermectin, Fen-Ben, all sorts of things. And ivermectin and Fen-Ben are incredible. They're getting all sorts of attention for their anti-parasitic properties. And we're seeing more and more about ivermectin and Fen-Ben and where they can be used in other areas, especially for broader immune system support. Fen-Ben is incredible, and it's something that it's like we're just kind of getting into this, but it promotes cellular health and metabolic function on a profound level. I cannot wait you guys, there's so much coming down the pipe on these two medications, but you get it at Farm Easy Bank. You get a great deal. You can trust everything from Farm Easy Bank comes from reputable, reliable sources. Their commitment to quality means you get the same effectiveness you'd get from brand name medications, but you don't have the crazy price tags. I personally love Ivermax. I use this stuff. We keep it in my house. Ivermax 15 right here. It's a great product. You want to have some of that on hand, especially, I mean, we're getting into cold and flu season and COVID season, all that sort of stuff. Make sure you got the Ivermax 15 on hand, but you don't have the big price tags with Pharmacy Bank, right? In fact, you can save up to 80% compared to traditional pharmacy prices. On top of that, they got fast, discreet shipping straight to your door. It makes your wellness routine as easy and convenient as possible. Best part is if you use coupon code RENZ, RENZ, at checkout, you get on any order over $199, you get 20% off. 20%, that's a huge deal. So take control of your health today. Start your wellness journey with the trusted support, serious savings, Pharmacy Bank. Make sure you're checking these guys out. You'll see the link in the show notes and everywhere else. So make sure you're supporting these guys. All right. Sponsors aside, let's now talk about the news of the day. So I was looking today, and I see this article by this guy, Gregory Lyakov. Okay, so this is a guy who I've never heard of, but apparently he is one of the youngest syndicated columnists in the planet. Young guy, was syndicated at 16 years old. And this is Gateway Pundit's got this article, and I love Gateway Pundit, by the way. They are not a sponsor, but I support them anyways. The Hoff brothers are good guys. I consider them friends, and they're just a great publication. But so I see this by this Gregory Lyakov, and it says, for young conservatives' sake, stop fighting on the right. I read this article, and I really, really want to talk about it. And front and center in this article is a picture of Tucker and Ben Shapiro. Now, I've made no bones about the fact I think Shapiro's a sellout. He was a sellout during COVID. He's a sellout now. I mean, he's just a shill. Okay, I understand he promotes generally right-wing topics, but he promotes whoever's paying best, to be honest with you. His whole Daily Caller, that whole organization is, I mean, they make an obscene amount of money, and that's good. I'm glad they do, but the money is king there, and that's. I don't mean to be such a purist, guys, but I just don't like Shapiro. He doesn't sit well with me. But anyways, this young kid though, this Opens article, he says, for years, Ben Shapiro was the person I aspired to become, an example of what a young Jewish conservative could accomplish. Before I ever wrote a column, he had already set the standard, nationally syndicated 17, Harvard law grad, founder of America's most influential media. But this is singing Shapiro's praises. I don't care. I don't like Shapiro. And I'm glad he was a role model for young Jewish people. You know, that's great. That's cool. You need a role model. They need a role model. Great. If that's who you identify with, good. You could have a worse role model, but I don't like Shapiro because he keeps selling out. I was very disappointed in what he did during COVID, folks. I'm just not going to forget that. It was repulsive to me. His inability to actually take a stand against the jabs and other such things, as so many were dying, just made me sick. So anyways, Shapiro's out there, and in this article, he compares it to Tucker. And he says, Tucker, however, changes understanding of authenticity. When I met him, he wasn't the polarizing figure people argue about online. He was kind, curious, and fully present. He asked questions not to perform, but to understand. In a profession often driven by ego, that humility was striking. Carlson showed me that sincerity requires honesty. Now, then he goes on to say that Shapiro and Carlson are two sides of this debate on the right, and he characterizes it as intellectual conservatism and populist realism, and I don't agree with that. I don't at all. Shapiro is not an intellectual conservative. Shapiro is a propagandist, and he promotes whatever propaganda pays highest. The reality is that Shapiro is not, in my opinion, in any way, shape, or form, the intellectual he's held out to be. He's a smart guy for sure, but he uses what he's got to promote what benefits him best, what pads his pocket the most. The sincerity that this young man's talking about with Tucker is what's critical here, right? Tucker asks real questions. I like Tucker. Tucker is out here and he's asking tough questions. And right now, and the point of this article is this war between the Tucker Carlson side of conservatism and the Ben Shapiro side. And the entire war is about Israel. I mean, that's what this whole thing is about. And I find it appalling because I care about advancing America, right? Yes, I support Israel as a country. I support the Jewish people, but I don't support Benjamin Netanyahu. He's a crook. Benjamin Netanyahu's corrupt. Why is that? Why is that an issue? Netanyahu's as corrupt as any American as Joe Biden was. He's just a corrupt politician. I don't have to like him. And why are we letting a divide over a corrupt politician in Israel divide conservatism in America? Well, because too many people like Ben Shapiro are getting bought off. Ben Shapiro makes a ton of money from Israel. It doesn't mean he's wrong about everything, but it means that that's his motive. Why would we start a war? Why do we have a war in America over Israel? It's not enough that we should be dividing our conservative base, and it's certainly not enough we should be attacking our own. We can disagree over Israel without sellouts like Mark Levin and Shapiro out there, attacking our conservative warriors like Tucker Carlson. I don't care that Tucker's got a different view of it and that he's asking questions. He's asking questions that ought to be asked. Just because I support the Jewish people, which I do, and just because I support the state of Israel, which I do, does not mean I support the government of Benjamin Netanyahu, which I don't. Netanyahu spent $2 billion funding Hamas through Qatar. $2 billion. That $2 billion, plus what seems like stand-down orders, led to the October devastation that resulted in so many dead people. Meanwhile, need I remind you that Benjamin Netanyahu supported vaccinating his entire country with these poison COVID jabs? I would argue that Netanyahu's done more damage to the Jewish people than any other person I could think of. I mean, the COVID jabs by themselves were devastating. By the way, if you want to, before you call me names, testified in one of the great honors of my life was testifying at a rabbinical court in New York. So don't tell me that I'm anything that's against the Jewish people. I'm not. But just because you're Jewish doesn't mean you can't be corrupt. There are bad people who are white. There are bad people that are Jewish. There are a lot of bad people that are a lot of different things. And yes, we all stand against Islamic terror. And I'm grateful that Israel does do what they do on that. But let's be realistic. They stood against Islamic terror while funding it. Benjamin Netanyahu funded it through Qatar. You tell me what's good for the Jewish people? Forcing COVID vaccines? Funding Hamas? I think not. Let me argue that if you actually support Israel and the Jewish people, you should be against Benjamin Netanyahu. But no, we can't talk about that. Why? Because Mark Levin and Shapiro get paid massive money for opposing anyone that opposes Netanyahu. Netanyahu's writing the checks. This isn't about pro or against Israel. And what we've got now is a massive attack machine on conservatives who are asking legitimate questions. Now, I don't always agree with some of the conservative questions that are asked, but I don't care. I don't care that they're being asked. You have every right to ask them. In my estimation, and now listen, some people have gone down these rabbit holes where they talk about these different factions of Judaism, this, and that. I haven't gotten down that. I haven't. So maybe you've done that. Maybe you know more than me. I don't care. I don't care. I have too many issues in this country to be worried about what's happening in Israel. Do I support the country? Yes. Do I support Jewish people? Yes. Will I continue to support the country of Israel? Yes. Do I support Benjamin Netanyahu? No. He's a crook. I don't like him. I don't believe in him. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've missed something. Maybe I've missed something on all of this. But at the end of the day, I don't give a damn because it's not America. Let's focus on America. Hey, Mark Levin. Hey, Shapiro. If you guys support America, how about you support America? How about you support guys that are asking questions about America instead of constantly attacking anybody who has any questions about corruption where we're spending billions of dollars of foreign aid? We're spending billions of dollars of foreign aid. If there's corruption in that government, we should ask about it. It doesn't mean we don't support the government or the people. It doesn't mean we don't support the nation. It means that their government, just like ours, is corrupt. P.S. Did you attack the people who were attacking Joe Biden? No. Did you say that Tucker Carlson was anti-American when he asked questions about Joe Biden? No, you didn't do that. No. Instead, you attack Tucker Carlson when he asks about a foreign leader. I have questions about a foreign leader. Why was there an apparent stand down order on October 7th? Why did that happen? Why did Benjamin Netanyahu spend $2 billion funding Hamas through Qatar? I have questions. How did that benefit the Israeli people? I want to know how our tax money that's being spent to protect the Jewish people of Israel, along with the other people of Israel, is it okay that he's using this to fund terrorists? Are we okay with that? I'm not. I'm certainly not going to attack other conservatives in America for asking that question, but I don't think Shapiro or Levin are conservatives in America. These are conservatives that are secondarily focused on American issues because the only focus they care about is the big money they're getting from Israel. I want to support the Jewish people. I don't support them being mandated to take a COVID jab that killed how many? You know what? Let's argue about the real issues here. Let's argue about what's really going on. Oh, no, we can't do that. Can't do that. God forbid that we would get to the root cause or actually argue what's really going on. But instead, we've got this huge divide and this infighting. Now, to this kid's point, this Gregory Lyakov's point, he says that this purity war, disagreement, and the moral betrayal, it's destructive. It's just what he says, quote, "What makes this conflict destructive is it distracts from what actually matters." That is right. With that, I think this young man is dead on. Families are still battling inflation that drains savings. Crime remains high across major cities. Schools continue to fail students in reading, history, and civics. These are issues that should define what conservative mission, not feuds over personality on social media. Darn right. Darn right. And then he goes to point out, and this I agree with 100%. Charlie Kirk understood that. Before his assassination, he tried to bring all factions together, recognizing that conservatism's strength came from persuasion, not exclusion. Under his leadership, Turning Point USA provided students with a forum to debate ideas freely, question without fear, and find a common ground rooted in common principle. Charlie reminded us that disagreement is not disloyalty. Hey, Shapiro and Levin, newsflash. This kid gets it. You don't. Asking questions about how our tax money is spent is not disloyalty. It's a legitimate question, especially when the corrupt leader of that government is doing things that are really, you want to talk, it's not anti-Semitic. Let's be realistic. Benjamin Netanyahu is not being anti-Semitic. He's just a crook. But the results of his actions are dangerous to millions of Israelis. I think what he's doing is appalling. Can you imagine forcing everybody in your country to get the COVID jab? That's what he did. Let's talk about that. You can't be pro-Jewish and pro-mandated COVID jab for Israel, can you? Oh, why will no one make that point? Why isn't Shapiro talking about that? Because he sold out on COVID. Why isn't Levin talking about that? Because he sold out on COVID. Those two both sold out. They're not talking about the death or carnage or chaos that those mRNA jabs unleashed on the Jewish people. No. They want to talk about Tucker as being anti-Semitic. They want to go after conservatives for this, while the real damage is being done by people like them, who sell out on everything. They're sellouts. And this, I think, is foundational. And this is where young Gregory needs a little bit of guidance. He says, quote, "My generation doesn't need more division. It requires leadership that unites conviction with strategy." That's incorrect. Your generation needs to understand that leadership comes from standing for what's right, what's ideologically truthful. In this case, one of your heroes is a sellout. And you got to recognize that that's the problem. The problem here is that you've got some of these people that are willing to sell out. We do need to fight that. We have to stand for what's right, not for what's easy. That's not what's happening here. What's happening here is you've got a couple people that are selling their souls. They're selling out. They're selling out to the corrupt Benjamin Netanyahu administration, who has been a tremendous disservice to Israel and to the Jewish people, who I would argue facilitated October 7th. Just like I would argue that the Democrats were behind J6. And apparently, at some point, looks like our government was behind September 11th. Now we look back. By the way, why did Building 7 fall over? Why did it collapse in the controlled demo? Oh, we're not supposed to ask that. But I don't mind questioning my country and our leadership. I don't mind calling out the corruption that is just permeating my nation. So why should I care about calling out the corruption in another nation? I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm pro-Jew. If you're Jewish, I believe you have the right to believe and to live however you want. And you should have your rights protected just like I should as a Christian. I believe that your rights should be protected in the same way that mine. And I've fought for that and will continue to. Against all, because I am ideologically pure. I stand behind what I believe in and what's right. I don't care if it's popular. It's still what's right. The right thing to do is to look at this and to say, listen, Netanyahu's a crook. Look at what he's done. Has it been good for the Jewish people? No. Now, I don't agree with the people. There are anti-Semites out there. There really are. And I don't agree with that. I'm sorry, I just don't. I can't hate someone because of their faith or because of that. But that's universal. That's universal. Everybody has the right under the First Amendment of the United States Constitution to believe how they choose. It doesn't mean that you can bring Sharia law to the United States. I don't believe in that at all. I don't like radical Islam. It's not compatible with our Constitution. I also don't like corrupt politicians anywhere. That's the issue. Maybe instead of going after people like Tucker Carlson for asking questions, we should be seeing whether or not there's value to those questions. And then focus on American issues and America first. That's what I think we need. But MAGA right now is divided, and it's divided because there are a certain number of crooks that are willing to put other things ahead of America. I think we need to get back to the focus there. But I would say to young Gregory, young man, you're right. We do need leadership that unites conviction with strategy. But that doesn't exist when the leaders sell out. Unfortunately, that's what's occurring here. He goes on to say the feud between traditional and populist conservatives is weakening the right and empowering the left. Those are the people you're talking about are not traditional conservatives. They're sellouts. They are the swamp. They are the rhinos. They are the problem with the Republican Party. They're the reason that we have people like Lindsey Graham. They're the reason that we have rhino sellouts that have so much power in this country. Because they play just conservative enough to get everybody's attention. They get massive funding. By the way, do you know how much funding I would have if I was willing to sell out? I'm not. But the people like me, they can't let people like me come to power. They can't let a guy like me be as big as a guy like Shapiro because I won't sell out. Because I ask hard questions. And because the people that have money and control the money, like Netanyahu, want to make sure that they're protecting their own. Ben Shapiro is protecting his own. Mark Levin protecting his own, making sure his pockets are taken care of. That's what's happening here. We do need to call that out, and I'm okay with that. If Shapiro and Levin want to back off, I'm all in favor of that. I'm fine with letting them do what they want. And they can be pro-Netanyahu. I don't care if they're pro-Netanyahu. But they need to quit lying. They need to quit pretending that anybody that doesn't like Netanyahu is an anti-Semite. I am a case study in being pro-Jewish, pro-Israel, and anti-Netanyahu. Hey, Ben. Hey, Levin. Why don't you and I debate this? Why don't you and I talk about this? Let's see what you got. I want you to explain to me how you can be pro-COVID jab and still claim to be pro-Jew in light of what Netanyahu did forcing that. I would love you to explain that one to me. I would love anybody to explain how funding Hamas with $2 billion is pro-Jewish or pro-Israel. How is that the case? It's not. You know it. You're hypocrites. You're liars. If you really want to support the Jewish people, maybe you need to actually support the Jewish people instead of the corrupt government of Israel. I support the nation of Israel, the people of Israel, but not the Netanyahu corrupt regime. All right. We need to, hey, by the way, folks, if we're going to fight, we need to stand on principle. Levin and Shapiro have shown that they're not principled. They're not us. They can join us. If they quit attacking us, we're happy to have them back. But until then, they're not conservatives. They're sellouts. All right. Let's move on to the next topic that I think is going to piss everybody on the planet off. I'm pretty sure I made no friends with that little speech. But tell me where I'm wrong, folks. Tell me why I am incorrect on that whole thing. All right. Leftist meltdowns. Another gateway, a great way upon the article here. Massive leftist meltdowns ensue as 8 Senate Democrats cave and vote to end the government shutdown. Here are some of the biggest. So, my buddy MJ Truth Ultra, who's a good dude, I follow. He's worth following on Twitter. So it breaks this down. He's got this. And Mike, can we put this up on the screen? I want to show this tweet, and then I want to show this article. So MJ Truth Ultra, he says, now that the shutdown is over, what did each side give up? And this is his analysis. Says Democrats gave up guaranteed ACA Obamacare subsidy extension, 40 days of leverage, they caved first, and public image. 60% of voters blamed the Dems, which it should have been 100% because it was 100% the Democrats. Republicans gave up what? They reversed 150,000 federal layoffs until January. That's too bad. We could definitely use less federal employees. They locked in full SNAP VA funding for 1 year, and that excludes illegal aliens. And Thune promised the Democrats a Senate ACA vote, which is moot because it's going to die in the House. Okay, that works. Why he says this is a clear Trump GOP win. They got their exact bill, clean CR, $0 for ACA, flat funding. Democrats fold after 40 days of pain on their own voters. Next showdown is January 30th, 2026, after the midterms, with bigger GOP majorities and total control. Well, we'll see how that goes. Right now, midterms aren't looking real good. He says, proves shutdowns are Trump's superpower again, longest ever, mission accomplished. And then he shows this neat picture of Trump as a king, which is funny to me. I like the analysis. The only thing I'm not sure of is whether we'll have a bigger GOP majority. I don't think that's going to happen unless someone figures out how to actually get the GOP to start being MAGA and MAHA. I mean, right now they're not even close. They're disastrous. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. They're going to have to find a way to actually make this MAGA or MAHA. That's not right now. It's not even close right now. So, but if they do, we could have a majority. The Gateway Pundit's got an article, and they talk about this. It says the Democrat base is an unhinged uproar this morning after the defections. Gateway Pundit reported that Senate broke Chuck Schumer-led filibuster last night after 8 Senate Democrats caved and joined Republicans in their bid to pass revamp plan to end legislation. This passed on the 15th attempt by a 60-40 vote. And sounds like it's now here's the thing. Republicans plan to amend the bill and attach 3 full year-long appropriations bill. Well, listen, the government, we saw this is a win and a loss, right? This is what Trump wanted. But we saw Doge. Do we really want to keep funding flat instead of cutting it? Why can't we just cut it? Why can't we cut funding ever? Just not even, I don't know, folks. We can't win. We just lose less. So anyways, it goes on. But this caused a bunch of leftists to have a stroke, which I kind of get a boot on. And we got some wonderful tweets here. We'll bring this one up, Mike. This from the Gateway Pundit article. Santiago Mayor Learn these MFers names. They just betrayed every single member of the Democratic coalition and let Republicans rip healthcare away from 11 million people. Apparently, Santiago is really mad that illegal aliens are not getting health care. This seems to be a real big issue for him. He's pretty fussy about it. Ezra Levin says, this is a message of a failed feckless leaderless party. We need a party with backbone. The only path to it is through cleansing the primary season. If your Dem is up for re-election and you aren't darn sure they're fighting the fascists with everything they got primary, this is good news, folks. If the Dems put in people who are even more left, well, that's good for us because they're not electable. I mean, the people they got right now aren't electable. Oliver Willis says the Democrat Party stabbed America in the back less than a week after voters gave a fight back mandate. No, that isn't what voters did. What happened was that the voters were the GOP MAGA Maha voters stayed home because we can't find any Republicans that are actually MAGA Maha. This was a big, squishy, messy rhino victory. It wasn't a real win. But here's Bernie Sanders, which is kind of funny to me. Let's see. Let's bring up Bernie so you can see this. Here's Bernie really upset
with the Republicans to allow them to go forward on this continuing resolution. And to my mind, this was a very, very bad vote. What it does, first of all, is it raises healthcare premiums for over 20 million Americans by doubling, and in some cases tripling or quadrupling. People can't afford that when we are already paying the highest prices in the world for healthcare. Number two, it paves the way for 15 million people to be thrown off of Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. Studies show that will mean that some 50,000 Americans will die every year unnecessarily. And all of that was done to give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the 1%. As everybody knows, just on Tuesday, we had an election all over this country. And what the election showed is that the American people want us to stand up to Trumpism.
I'm pretty sure what it actually showed was that the American people are sick of the Republicans that keep selling out. Because guess what? When we, the people, thought MAGA was going to come in and clean house, we all showed up. Everybody showed up in the election for MAGA Maha. We thought it was going to be better. The reason we stayed home on Tuesday is because the GOP has failed. Because MAGA and Maha is not being delivered. We're upset about it because it's not happening. It's not because it's going so well. It's because it's a disaster. It's an absolute debacle. The Republican leadership can't pass anything. We want ACA totally overturned. We want Obamacare gone. We want people like Bernie Sanders defeated. It's not that. Bernie doesn't get it, though. But it's funny to look at the leftists. Over and over again, you just see more and more and more. I mean, I can't even read some of these. It's F you, F this, F that, just right and left. I mean, these leftists are insane. They're unhinged. And, when you see this, it's just sad, folks. It's sad that our GOP doesn't want to acknowledge the truth, nor does the media. The truth is that this election on Tuesday went the way that it did because Trump sold out Maha by having people like Bill Gates and Borla in the White House. And so Maha stayed home. They're not going to support it. I'm sorry, we're just not. We're not going to go out and fight for a Republican Party that won't fight against pharma because people like Cassidy throw Bobby Kennedy under the bus instead of standing for him. That's the reason we've got problems. It's not that they wanted people to fight back against Trump. That's not even close to it. But no one will talk about it in any way, shape, or form. It's not even sort of true. And so, but who cares about the truth when you can tell a lie? All right, let's talk about the pipe bomber. J6 pipe bomber. I'm going to read you a little background here from this article. For the unversed, on J6 2021, federal authorities discovered 2 pipe bombs near the headquarters of the RNC and DNC. While law enforcement arrived at the scene to oversee the situation, protesters who were actually just paid shills and FBI agents, entered the U.S. Capitol by breaching security measures. And it's an absolute mess, right? They initially identified a vehicle of interest as well, along with an individual who reportedly searched pipe bomb DC online. After 4 years passed since the incident, the report by the Blaze surfaced on the internet. According to the report, Shawnee Kirchhoff has worked as a Capitol police officer for about 4.5 years. Kirchhoff stopped working during mid-2021 after she got a job at the CIA, according to sources, right? So this Shawnee Kirchhoff, right? They did an analysis, and they did this analysis of what's going on. They did an analysis of the gate of the bomber. They looked at everything. They got some whistleblowers, and basically, it's all pointing to this Shawnee Kirchhoff person, who was a Capitol police officer and is now apparently working for the CIA. So I guess this Shawnee Kirchhoff got a promotion after she planted fake pipe bombs, and there's all sorts of questions, right? So there's interesting things. If we can bring this up, Mike, this is really an interesting video. FBI has told the public for 3 years that the J56 pipe bomber planted devices the night before. FBI insisted the pipe bombs were viable with black powder and deadly. So here you see a bomb-sniffing dog looking around, and this is in the exact area of the pipe bomb. So they asked the question, how did this bomb-sniffing dog miss the pipe bomb when it's literally 5 inches away? Why is the bomb-sniffing dog not able to find a pipe bomb when the pipe bomb is so clearly right there? I don't understand this, right? Let's go back to the beginning. See the car grubs up, dog's here, and the dog's looking all over. The pipe bomb is, we'll go back to the beginning. Here's where the pipe bomb is. Look at this dog. Look at this dog. Right here's the dog. Here's the for garden. Right here's the pipe bomb. So this dog, who was trained to sniff for bombs, couldn't smell this bomb, 10 feet away? Is this the worst bomb sniffing dog in the history of bombs or dogs? I mean, what's wrong with this dog? But no need to look at truth, right? Dog performed vehicle search and separate sweep, right? So this all over the place. This pipe bomb thing seems about as real as the 200 plus FBI agents that we now found are in the crowd and that were trying to create this riot. The riot wasn't real, folks. We had a video that I did just prior to the election that we talked about a big investigation that was done. They uncovered all these leftist groups that were actually behind J6 that were coordinating to facilitate J6. J6 was a Democrat plant. It was a Democrat move. It was a Democrat everything. The leftists, the Democrats, were behind J6. They made it happen. They facilitated it. It was 100% them. They did it with their corrupt agents at the FBI, the DOJ, their corrupt agents throughout the government, the Capitol Police. This, to me, looks very, very clear. Now, we're seeing these reports, and I mean, you've got to ask yourself, right? This Shawnee Kirchhoff they did an analysis of her gait and everything, 94% match between Kirchhoff and the suspect, 94%. And one of the analysts is claiming a 98% match. Now, why is it that Kash Patel and Pam Bondi aren't all over this? Where are their statements on this? I got to be honest with you, folks. I'm starting to think that the DOJ is not a whole lot better than it was before. I don't think the DOJ is getting cleaned up. I think it's a disaster. Look at this. Look at this. Here's a picture of this Shawnee Kirchhoff. And I mean, I don't know, folks. I mean, Well, let's bring this up. Let me show you what this is. Here's what you got here. Here it is. This is the alleged pipe bomber, right? So they've got a very good, clear view of the gate of the walk, right? I've been there, Capitol Hill Club. So you got a pretty good view of it. They analyze this. They're able to look at this, and they said it's pretty solid. It's pretty solid from what they're saying. 94% match. So we have there's a lot of very good reasons. There's also whistleblowers. There's a whole bunch of stuff here involved with this. But essentially, we have real good evidence. There ought to be an investigation. Why isn't this being investigated properly? Where is this? Where's it? What's it going on? Why is there no investigation? Why is Pam Bondi's DOJ still silent on this? Now, I've heard that they may be making a statement, they may be addressing this, but at the end of the day, J6, we had a lot of good Americans who spent a lot of time in jail for what was clearly a plan. I don't want to hear about John Bolton and John Brennan and Comey. I'm glad they're going to jail, and if they did something good, I want these guys from J6. I want to go after these guys because these guys are still in place and still in power. This is a disaster. This put real innocent Americans in. We're going after guys who had, this sort of, oh, they talked about this, they talked about that. Listen, I'm glad Bolton, Comey, and Brennan are getting what they're getting. I want J6. I want to know whether Pelosi and Schumer were aware. I want to know about the reports that AOC was aware and involved with the groups that were planning J6. AOC is actually apparently considering a run for president. Why aren't we investigating to see about her potential ties to this? We need to investigate people who are in power who can do things now. I'm tired of the smoke and mirrors from our lousy DOJ that hasn't done anything that's meaningful. Where's George Soros? I hear we're investigating him. Is he in jail? Arabella? Where is this? We're, 10 months, 11 months in? Nothing. I want to know, is Pam Bondi the next Bill Barr? Can I ask that question? Can I ask? By the way, who recommended Pam Bondi? When Matt Gaetz, who should have been AG, was attacked by everybody, including the Republicans, who was it that recommended Pam Bondi, who was AG in Florida while Epstein was doing what he did down there in Palm Beach? Yeah, Epstein had a mansion in Palm Beach where he did the child trafficking. Tell me about that. Tell me about that, folks. Right? No one wants to talk about that. No one wants to talk about it. But anyway, so we got to look at J6. It's a mess. I think it's a fair thing. Moving on, Senator Rand Paul. Apparently, according to Twitter, Senator Rand Paul has released Deception, the Great COVID Cover-Up, alleging that Dr. Anthony Fauci funded gain-of-function research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology and suppressed evidence of the lab leak origin for the pandemic. This follows Paul's second referral of Fauci to the DOJ for prosecution in July, despite Fauci's preemptive pardon by President Joe Biden in January 2025. The book's promotion on X has drawn backlash from conservatives, accusing Paul of profiting without achieving accountability. Well, I would agree with that. And listen, I like some of what Rand Paul does, but this is a load of crap. Let me show you guys this. This is my response. This is my, if we can bring this up, Mike, this is my Twitter response. It says, because Kim.com brings up, he says, the government was responsible for it, and he's right. I said, this makes me sick. I sent plenty of evidence to Rand Paul and others in the 2022 before the midterm. The evidence I sent included witness testimony showing that COVID was created in a lab by EcoHealth Alliance with U.S. funding. I sent this to Rand Paul and others in Congress, a full report. Here's what it looks like. You can find it at tomrenz.com. If you go to news and resources at tomrenz.com, you can find this. Evidence is created in the Wuhan lab. Scroll down and you can see, here it is. All 57 pages. Thank you, Andrew Huff and Pam Popper and everybody who contributed to this. You lays out the whole thing. There's even a nice little table of contents. I gave this to Rand Paul before, amongst other people, before it was released publicly. You can find it on tomrenz.com. You should be looking there anyways. I gave this everywhere. Before the Senate released its first big report about the origins of COVID, I sent this to them. Now, I was told I wasn't supposed to know this, but one of the staffers leaked to me that a bunch of the Republicans got together before 2022 midterms and said, we're going to bury this. We don't want to give Renz credit, and we don't want it out there publicly before the midterms because it could upset our chances. Well, we saw how those midterms went, didn't we? This was a load of crap. Listen, Rand Paul still is not talking about mRNA. He still won't pick a fight there. He does some good things, but he is not the white knight on this. He is in no way, shape, or form a white knight. He can do more. And listen, I don't care until these guys are willing to actually take a stand on the mRNA jabs. And I'm sorry, they won't do it because Trump doesn't want to do it, because Trump has Susie Wiles and her mRNA fans all over there that oh, we got to promote mRNA. So they're still promoting this. Until Rand Paul is willing to take a stand against mRNA poisons, I'm tired of him trying to profiteer off of Anthony Fauci. And Fauci's a crook, but he's just one of many. Borla and Gates and some of these other guys need to be investigated. How much money did Borla make off of selling the SV40 contaminated cancer-causing mRNA vaccines to everybody? How much money did he make? And, you know, it looks like there was a bait and switch and that they know the SV40 was in there, along with SV40 promoters, which now in a peer-reviewed study have been shown to be there. SV40 promoters can't be there by accident. If they were in the vaccines, which they were according to this peer-reviewed study, that means that they were there intentionally. Think about that, folks. Now, I rip Rand Paul because he's profiteering off of this nonsense with Fauci, but I do like one thing that he did. He did just fuss with the shutdown ending bill, and he fussed over it because there was a little blurb in there banning hemp products because hemp is too healthy, right? This is funny because, you know, he's in there and he's out doing his thing, pushing for these mRNA poisons. But the reason that nobody likes hemp is because there's a lot of great benefits, right? And they're claiming this is about intoxicating hemp, but hemp and the THC in hemp only becomes intoxicating if it's harvested wrong, according to one of the experts I've talked to. I don't know enough about it. But regardless of what it does, there's a lot of major health benefits with hemp. We sell Anessa's hemp. We sell it. I believe in it. It's a great product. My buddies at Global Healing got hemp. Listen, hemp is a useful product if it's used right. But they're trying to ban it. Why? Because pharma wants them to ban it. And pharma runs the federal government. That's the truth of the matter. The truth of the matter is that everything you see in Washington is managed and controlled by pharma from top to bottom. It is insane, it is garbage, and it is appalling. But it continues to happen. I like that Rand Paul stood on this, but I got to be honest with you. Everything he does is tainted until he takes a stand on mRNA, and by the fact that he did things like covering up my report, which he did. He hid it, he buried it, he was involved in it. We knew what was happening a long time ago. Now, when it's politically safe, he finds his testicles. Maybe he should have found them years ago. Maybe he should find them on mRNA before more kids die from it. That would be helpful, but that would require honesty, which we don't see a lot of. All right, let's move on. FDA removes black box warnings from menopause hormone therapy. All right, let's talk about menopause because I'm clearly an expert, right? Any day I'm going to be having my menopause. I think a hot flash. I don't know. I'm old enough. It's because I was born with a penis. Yes, that's correct. I was born with a penis. Okay. So I guess I won't. Even if I identify as a woman, I can't blame being moody on menopause because I still was born with a penis. Listen, here's the deal. What is menopause? Your hormones change. They get all jacked up. Do you know what alleviates the problem? If you replace the hormones. If you put them back to your premenopausal levels. It has a tremendous benefits. Hormone therapy is something, I mean, it is ostracized all over the place. And it was initially ostracized because they don't want men to be men. They want testosterone levels to be, down at eunuch level so that every man acts like a wussy, nutless eunuch. That's the goal. So they started, anything hormone therapy is just super taboo. Well, hormone therapy for postmenopausal women, they've been lying about it for years. They've been saying, oh, it's so dangerous, it's so bad. A lot of this came from a 2002 study, right? And this 2002 study found 8 extra cases per 10,000 of breast cancer because of this hormone. Now, 8 per 10,000. Now, mind you, there's no one cares about how many people are dying from the COVID vaccines, but 8 per 10,000 cases is enough for a black box warning for hormones because they don't like hormones, right? Hormones keep you healthy. So, by the way, that study had only one specific regimen, which was questionable at best. They extrapolated from it without any actual reality. I mean, just they claiming also estrogen only arm for the study actually showed a decrease in breast cancer, but they ignored that, right? They pretended that wasn't there. Multiple reanalyses of that study showed that starting hormone replacement therapy within 10 years of menopause and before the age of 60 carries little to no risk. I mean, they just lied about the study, but it doesn't matter, right? And there's more than what's there, right? By the way, according to even the corrupt study, the total absolute risk reduction was 0.08, point absolute risk increase was 0.08%. The whole study was horrifically manipulated and lied, just like everything that pharma does. At the end of the day, folks, the reality is that hormone replacement therapy is generally a very good thing. It's been suppressed for years because pharma doesn't like it, and pharma runs Washington, D.C. So I'm a fan of testosterone replacement therapy. I'm a fan of a lot of different things, but pharma doesn't want it out there because it keeps you healthy. So did you guys see, and I didn't get to talk about this last week, and I don't have the time to get into this the way that I should. Did you guys see that Lee Zeldin came out and admitted that DARPA is quarterbacking the chemtrails? Did you see this? This is another conspiracy. Yes, I told you so. See, I told you so conspiracy theories. I posted it last week. And you can find it on my Twitter. There it is. You can see it right there. Yep, another issue Alex Jones and I have been talking about for several years, and we're called conspiracy theorists and liars. I haven't talked about it on Alex Jones' show not that long ago. Chemtrails, it comes from the military. I explained that Biden funded it through calling it a defense issue, and then ran his money through secret military programs so he couldn't track it. I've laid this whole thing out. This should be the Tom Renz was right program, but it was there. We all know, and now Zeldin admits it. Yep, DARPA's quarterbacking it. Yep, it's 100% there. I mean, this is sick, folks. But it's the same sort of sick stuff we see all over the place. DARPA, the military industrial complex, every time government wants to really hide. By the way, did you know that the military industrial complex was also buying the COVID vaccines? Yeah. If you got your Pfizer vaccine, our military bought it and distributed it, so you can't sue Pfizer. Our military is used for so many corrupt purposes, and under Joe Biden, it was sick. I don't know, guys. There's a lot more. Let's see. By the way, Tucker noted about the chemtrails as well. Tucker, who Ben Shapiro says is evil, even though he's actually telling the truth about things. It's unbelievable. Listen, we need your help and support. Remember, givesendgo.com/RensLaw, givesendgo.com/RensLaw. Don't forget our partners, Global Healing, Men's Hormone Support, wonderful people. And today, especially, don't forget Ivermax. We love Ivermax. Great product, great solution. You need these guys. You need Farm Easy Bank. Make sure you're clicking on them in the show notes. Love you guys. Appreciate your support. Make sure you're back with us. We'll be back tomorrow. and it was great being here today.
Thank you for watching The Tom Renz Show. Join us live Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, putting an axe in the skull of tyranny.
Skull till the base dies. Iron fists and shadowed halls, echoing shout through the crumbling walls. Their flags burn black, their thrones decay. We take it back, we make a
The MAGA revolution in cryptocurrency is here, reclaiming financial freedom for every American. Tired of globalist banks and deep state control? Blockchain is our weapon for sovereignty. Be a step ahead with Animus AI technology. Ranked #1 worldwide, exclusively available through Block Trust IRA. But beware, the wild ride volatility and scams lurk. Yet, with Trump-era policies like the Genius Act, we're tokenizing prosperity for veterans and the heartland. Globalist elites are panicking as leftist-controlled banks scrabble in the dust as MAGA investors access revolutionary technology. Reclaim your freedom with Block Trust IRA.
Join the fight to protect your wealth. Go to TomRensCrypto.com and talk to Block Trust IRA now.
Listen live to The Tom Renz Show Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern.